guys, this is Oshi, and this is going to be actually a new format of for my first impression walkthrough, which is not even gonna be a walkthrough video. To be honest, I wasn't sure that I wanted to make these videos because of the things that are happening in the world. I was maybe naive, probably, or too positive, or I don't know, to think that it's gonna stop by now, but it's not. And now I'm kind of struggling to find a way to live my life knowing what's happening around us, and it's hard, but yeah, I don't know. My thoughts about this whole thing is not something that I want to obviously talk about it here, because this is going to be a first impression deck check. So before everything happened in the world, too close to us actually, I reached out to Liminal 11, and they were like, oh yeah, we would like you to review our decks, which was really cool of them, because I'm a small channel. It's not like they necessarily will gain a lot of exposure, even though if I can show the deck and help someone decide if they want something, then that's already awesome. They send the deck for free. I had to pay value-added tax a lot. They sent me 2 decks, but it's not their thing. It's not their fault. It's not on them. I'm just only mentioning because it wasn't free, but not because of them, just because of how life works. But I still got 2 decks for a price of 1, pretty much. And maybe this is not something you're supposed to talk about, but I don't see why. Because by mentioning that, I think I'm more transparent than if I wouldn't, because that's how I would tell it to my friends. And I'm trying to be useful for you guys. So what I was thinking for doing this deck, and the decks coming from now, is I filmed the flip through, which is linked down below, where you can see all the cards. But besides that, what I did is I already checked the guidebook, I already checked the cards, and I selected a few that I really like, and a few that I don't or don't understand and I need to work with. And what my intention is with these selections and identifying these cards is that when the 6th month, which I'm gonna rename few months in series, is coming, I will check those cards specifically and tell you about it. If it was easy to work with them, did my mind change about them, were other cards that seemed non-problematic became problematic, and and stuff like that. So we will have a base point to check against these reviews. So hopefully that will be more useful. And when you're looking into buying the deck, you want to know about the guidebook and you want to know about certain cards. So hopefully it's gonna be helpful for you to decide on a deck. So with that out of the way, which is long, I know, I wouldn't pick this deck on my own, to be honest, because when I looked at in walkthroughs, I was like, yeah, I know. I used to watch these cartoons, not a lot, not growing up, but we had them at some point, and they were funny, but it's, I don't have that such a deep connection that the deck creator has. But I think just by going through it, this could be a deck, to be honest, that can be used for reading in public spaces when you don't want to, scare off pretty much people with a deck. And it has the typical, magnetic box. I only had the white Newman until now from Liminal, which I really love, but I have guidebook issues. And let's see. Okay, I need to identify my sectioning, so let's see. So this is the guidebook. Unfortunately, it's a really nice representative guidebook, but I think Liminal 11, the only way or place where they are lacking is the guidebook, because they never talk about the actual artwork. It's good if you have it, you know, as a first deck and you want to learn the meanings of the cards. But you know, when the artwork is clearly doing something with the cards, because the only two cards that I think that's mentioned in the foreword, which was at least useful, was the Devil and maybe the Fool. Or there was one minor that was mentioned, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes so much sense, and that made me understand and use the cards so much better. So I'm kind of sad that it's not true for all the cards, because that would have been very, very useful. So what I think, let's see, I need to identify which pile is which. I need to do a better job next time. I think these were the I don't necessarily understand or like. Maybe these were the likes. Yeah. And this section is the there's nothing that right now I think would need to work with. These are typical for the cards. There are some cute elements, but you know, they are easy to understand, and there's nothing really that stopped me from looking at the cards right now for more than once, which is not a bad thing. That's more than half of the deck. So yeah, everything can be, you know, looked at on the flip through, so all the cards will be there. So let's start with, I don't know, whatever, these piles. So this was the kind of, not necessarily, oh, okay, this is, there are cards that I don't understand, and the Fool is being one of them, or I just don't really like, and I tell you why. And then, like I said, when we come back to review this deck a few months later, I will tell you if it still bothered me, did I found out the meaning, or stuff like that. So the Fool was one of them, and I only knew because, you know, for you guys maybe it was obvious that this is the Illuminati pyramid, but when I see a pyramid I think about Egypt. And you know, the oh, what is it called in English? Oh boy, that animal that's in the Shrek as well, which I have completely blanking on the name right now, but you know what I mean. I was thinking about Pinocchio as well, but it was, you know, explained in the foreword that this is the Illuminati pyramid, which was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. So there's a lot of symbolism in this card, and like I said, for me, the hat, the ears, the tail, that reminds me of Pinocchio, which is an interesting thing. And it's not mentioned. I don't think it's mentioned. Oops, the Tesseract. The poor little Tesseract fall. But let's check the guidebook. But I don't think it was there. No, it's just a, you know, the usual explanation for the Fool, which is kind of sad, because they're, you know, like, why is the dog, you know, injured? I mean, it could be just, you know, the aesthetic and whatever. But these things, I think, would be important to be mentioned, because that's what sets off this deck from anything else. When you explain why you chose something for, this is the back, by the way, for the artwork. And to be honest, I know, you know, cows are awesome and everything, but I kind of don't like this card to be a cow. I don't know why. Yeah, it is just, you know, my personal thing for the High Priestess. And with the Empress, the Justice, and the Queen of Wands and the Queen of Swords, I just don't like how, okay, she doesn't look as terrified as, for example, I don't know, Justice and the Queen of Wands look like, you know, like, I'm not gonna blink, I'm not gonna blink, and then everything else is going to be, you know, okay, and disappear. It's kind of like that deer in the headlight effect. Not as obvious on the Empress, but with all the cards, I got that feeling, and I don't like that because these are all strong characters. So I don't want them to be like, I don't know what am I supposed to do feeling that I'm getting from it. It could be just that, I'm not used to the aesthetic as much because I haven't watched it a lot and it's not that. But hey, this is a first impression. So yeah, we will see how those cards will, change. Ace of Wands, it's a very interesting one. Like there's this witchy dark cloud stepping out. I just don't get it. Like I don't see the usual Ace of Wands that are how I read the Ace of Wands in this one. And I would have loved to know why the dark cloud, why this is, like this little witchy dark cloud and everything like that. That would have been cool to know. This one, I read the Six of Wands as a positive card. Yes, you can be full of yourself and everything like that, but that the main meaning, how I read the Six of Wands, is getting finally some recognition for the hard work you're doing, and it's a well-deserved recognition. So you're not gonna be, like nose up and be like, I'm better than everybody. At least that's not how I read it. So that's something that I don't really like, but I haven't seen it in reading. So maybe this card in this format is going to pull out something important from the reading. So that's why I'm staying open-minded. I just don't like it right now. And yeah, Seven of Wands. I don't read the Seven of Wands as terrified as this card. It's more about, yes, you're being attacked. Yes, other people are coming for you, but you're able to protect yourself. And this spider looks like nothing, like in the state of panic, and like I have no idea how to protect myself. But there's also this one who's like looking at the other, is like, what's the problem? Why is he panicking? So this could be that this card has a whole new meaning that is not explained. So maybe it's that. We'll see again. Nine of Wands was mentioned in the foreword as such a great and more obvious meaning than the usual one, but then they didn't explain it how they mean it. And just because there's an arrow here, I don't see how the Nine of Wands is becoming better than the usual one, because the Nine of Wands, how I read it, is that moment where you're deciding that, okay, this is how I'm going to live my life. I'm drawing that line in the sand and I'm ready to protect what's important for me. So why is an arrow pointing somewhere else, like you need to go there and abandon everything that you have? Or I don't know, but it's not explained. So that's kind of confusing and kind of sad, like I said, because I would want these to be explained. Just like the Five of Cups. I mean, this looks really cool. And I kind of like, looking into the mirror aspect of whatever, but it's not explained, so it's a bit confusing right now why the mirror is there. What are we supposed to be getting from it? Eight of Cups. I don't really know why the moon and the sun is fighting. And this is not like, oh, I don't like it. It's more about, is there something special that I can take away from this? Or is just, are those there just for the sake of aesthetics? And I don't think so, because reading through the foreword and the introduction for the deck, it seems like everything was chosen very deliberately. So, I want to know. Again, another cloud for the ace. And again, it's a very different Ace of Swords. It's about, it's injured. It's okay. We have the swords, but there's some sort of a rain or something like that. It's a king. So yeah, I would love to know more about these aces. Three of Swords is very interesting as well, because this is Cupid, but Cupid is not in a very good place and it's injured, and it's kind of interesting. You know, like, is it a more positive side or a more optimistic way of looking at what you're going through right now? It's because it's trying to suggest that even if you're in pain right now, it's not going to last for long, or you're going to be able to move on from the pain and learn from it, and you know, and be trusting again, and go after love, because you can't close yourself off forever, or something completely different. But that's kind of how I looked at it, and I find this card interesting in a way. And you know, maybe I mixed the two pies in the end. I don't know. Four of Swords. This was again a bit confusing, because why is the bed trying to get away, or you know, taking away this sleeping person? What is going on there? And the Eight of Swords is not my favorite, because it looks like this caterpillar, or just yeah, I think caterpillar or worm or whatever, is a burrito. It's taking a nap and it's very much enjoying itself. And the Eight of Swords is not a place where you enjoy yourself. It's not fun to be there, because you're creating problems for yourself and you cannot see out of them. So this, for me, would be more of a Four of Swords, if anything. So these are the more about problematic cards. It's 16, so we'll see. And these are the ones that I really like. So let's end on that note. I liked how, I don't know why, I can explain it, but I really like that one eye as the head for the magician. I think it's probably because it, you know, suggests focus, and I don't know, just that very strong, you know, I'm looking at what I want feeling, which I really appreciate. I like the Chariot in a way, because I like the, oh my god, where am I supposed to go feeling in this card? Because the Chariot is not moving yet, so you need to figure out how to make these two cats work, and before you do that, you usually feel that terrified, at least in my opinion. Wheel of Fortune. It was kind of like a good one, and interesting that, you know, there are books in the corners. But I kind of find it interesting that the wheel is a bit malicious here. The Hangman, again, it's kind of interesting that the tree looks sad, you know, that maybe the situation that you're in, by, you know, making yourself static and not moving, you might have an effect on your environment, which is not the one that, you know, you might think that, okay, this is just my life and I'm making this sacrifice, but you're not really looking around and see the effect of your choices on other people. At least that's what came off for me, and I think that's a very interesting one. I like Death because it's not a scary one, and you know, I like all these tiny stages of the ladybug, the caterpillar, and everything. Nobody's really dead, and I think that's you know, these death cards doesn't necessarily scare anyone off if they don't know the tarot and you use it in a reading. Temperance, I just love. I mean, look at that. That's a fun angel, and Temperance is having fun. And I think we often forget that finding balance in life also means that we need to find happiness and doing fun things as well. So I kind of appreciate that aspect. Plus, you know, this is one of the card that is very connected to my life. So I was like, oh yeah, so I don't always just need to think about finding the balance and finding higher purpose and stuff like that, but finding a connection between the above and the below. So this was the Devil. That was the first card that was created, and that's what I mean, the artwork, and that's what prompted this deck, I mean, the creator of the deck reached out to the illustrator and they were like, oh, let's make it into a full deck. And I kind of like how, you know, the devil is not mean. The devil is just sitting there, because this is how I read, you know, the Prince of Illusion. The devil is gonna come and tempt you, but it's not evil. You know, evil and the devil is not the same. Just because there's this almost the same name, it's not the same. And they don't look as terrified, obviously, but they don't even look as easily, you know, as a pair who could easily get away, which is very interesting. So I don't know, maybe I need to stalk the creator and maybe they're gonna talk about it on Instagram or somewhere, about the artwork more in depth. The tower, I think it's very good, because one of the ways you can read the tower is when the government and the kingdoms and whatever, they were not serving the people anymore, and it was predicting their fall. And I kind of feel like this is about that institutionalized power that needs to brought down, because it's not good for the people anymore, and it, you know, it's trying to hold on to everything with everything, but the things are on fire. So I think it's very timely right now, at least that's how I feel. 5 of Wands. I appreciated this aspect because, you know, 5 of Wands is conflict, and usually it's a conflict depicted outside of ourselves, but sometimes we're the one, you know, causing all sorts of problems with what we do, and because we're not keeping the eye on everything at all at once. So, and maybe we're more capable of than we're thinking. So that's a very interesting card as well. 8 of Wands with all the witches, I think it's just fun, and I appreciated it. 4 of Cups, I kind of like the grumpiness. 9 of Cups, again, just, you know, I find it very cute that the offer is coming in a very English way, I think. The King of Cups, I like that it's a pirate, you know. I kind of think that that's a very interesting way of looking at the King of Cups, because the King of Cups is usually we're getting all our emotions under control and we know how to love ourselves and others and blah, blah, blah. But sometimes you still, you know, need to be a king and make things happen, and might hurt people, but you know that this is for the best, or, you know, for everybody's good. So it's kind of interesting. 5 of Swords. Very interesting. I love that, you know, like, just because you're bigger or you can take away someone else's swords doesn't mean you actually have to do that. 2 of Pentacles. I kind of like this because, again, it's about the conflict within ourselves, and I like how it's depicted. And this queen, you see, this queen doesn't look terrified. This queen is like, I'm sitting here on my little goat, sheep, whatever this is, and, you know, taking care of things and looking at my pentacles, and I know what I need to do and what I'm supposed to do. So I like her facial expressions so much better. And there are 2 extra cards. We have a happy squirrel and a sad squirrel, and for these, at least, there are, you know, explanations in the book, and they are not the complete opposite of each other, which I kind of find very useful, because happiness is not the opposite of sadness. So I think these can, I mean, I always keep the extra cards in, because I think, you know, when there are extra cards and they want to come out, they are there for the reason. So yeah, these were the cards that I like, either for aesthetic or just, you know, how they depict something that I read. It's 18, so more cards on the I like it pile than on the confusing me pile. And let's pull a few cards. I mean, it shuffles nicely. It's a very interesting card stock, by the way. It's nothing like the White Newman. This is more on the cardboardy side, but I don't think it's a bad quality paper or cardstock. But yeah, I don't want to do a reading because I don't read readings these days. Okay, we can let Sasquirrel. And then the Queen of Pentacles, and then the Two of Pentacles. So this is how it looks on a reading. And like I said, I think if you want to read for others, not necessarily, you know, professionally and everything, just you have family members, or you just want to have a deck with you that you want to be able to use without really worrying that it would scare off people, I think this one could be. And I wasn't that excited for this one. I was much more excited for the other one, the Seed and Sickle Oracle, because I was looking into that already. But I'm pleasantly surprised, and I cannot wait to actually start using it. We'll see how. I will figure out something to be able to use tarot these days. But yeah, I hope this format, this new style is useful. Please do let me know, because you know, I'm changing things up just to be helpful for you guys. So I think it's more helpful, but I would like to get some feedback, obviously. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being understanding with everything that's happening, and me not really posting as much as I was. It's just, I still feel it's ridiculous that everything that's happening is happening, and I'm just, yeah, that's a lot. So yeah, I'm sorry it's not that happy or whatever, but thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for caring, and see you in the next one. Bye.